Okay, so let's jump into this video and talk about our Dataviewer software we're going to be working with our data logs. So in the first couple videos in the training series, we went into the data logging and how to data log and take an onboard data log and a PC log and open it up and play it back in the ESP software. Now, that's going to be really useful for doing our tuning. But if we want to look at data analysis, so if we have a 20-minute session, let's say a road course session where we're doing lapping, and we want to evaluate a driver's performance, that's not going to be where we want to do it in the Haltech ESP software. We're going to move into the data viewer. It's going to allow us to have a lot more configurability and flexibility of looking at the actual information as opposed to looking at it in that very small screen in the actual ESP software. So I'm going to be walking you through the basics in this video of using the data viewer software so you understand how to get familiar with it and get comfortable with using it. And then we're going to be moving into looking at some more advanced features with the software and some reasons why we definitely want to use it. So without further wait, let's jump in so we can check this out. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our data logging and our Haltech. Now, we had a specific video on how to take a data log, and we looked at that process where we either used our onboard logger where we set things up, or we have our actual PC logger here with this many channels that we're going to be logging. We found that we could take the data log and then we could save the data log, and then we could go back here to our external playback and then play back the data log. So the process was pretty simple here, and let's actually just jump into it right now. Jump into playback here. I'm going to grab just a file here and I'm going to open it. Now when we open the file, we're going to be able to slide our little cursor here through the log, and we're going to be seeing that we have our timestamp here, and that's going to be where it captured all of the data at that specific point in time. And this was a dyno pool. So we can see here as I'm going through this data log, it's playing everything back in my displays here. And if I'm tuning a specific function here, like VE tuning, it's going to allow me to go in and actually tune this VE table based on what I'm reading here on the wideband. If we have our short-term correction that's operating in closed loop at full throttle, we're able to evaluate this specific tuning task. And if we pop through all of our windows here, we're going to be finding that anything that we have logged is going to play back here. Anything that's grayed out here, that's not going to be something we had in our data log, but it's going to be speeding up our tuning process greatly here. We can see exactly where we're operating at. We can see we're right here. Now, one thing I want to point out is that if we're evaluating a data log, we want to make sure that the data log that we have open is associated with the calibration file that the engine was running when you took the data log. We're going to be finding that if you don't have that open, there's going to be a mismatch. So in this example here, I have a data log that's not from the file that we've created. And if we're kind of panning back through here, we can see that our base table timing here is showing 3 degrees, but my data log is showing me 18, 19 degrees. Now, obviously, there's a huge discrepancy there. And if I was going to go in and try to make some changes, I'd go into this table here and I'd be starting to make changes to my timing that wasn't relevant for this data log. So it's important that we have to match up the data to the cal file that we're running at that time. Now, beyond that, we're going to look down here at the bottom of our screen. We can see that we have all these channels in here, and there's about 200 channels, I believe, that I'm PC logging, that I have the Haltech set up for. Now, if we're panning back through, we can see there's all kinds of lines here, and it's really hard to kind of read what's going on in the screen here of looking at the actual data in a graphical format is just too small. We're not able to really utilize it properly. So we have this means or method to look at data logs in the ESP software here that we can go in the tuning process and evaluate. But if we want to look at things graphically, we have to use a different logging software. This is not going to be sufficient for evaluating maybe racing conditions, where we want to look at maybe our oil pressure as we're going into cornering, or if we want to look at our wheel speeds if we're going in and launching